Communication Amendment Bill, Bill 3 of 2020.
When the debate on this bill was adjourned on Tuesday, 9 June 2020, the question before the Council was a motion that the bill now read a second time. Honorable Ndakunda adjourned the debate, and now, Honorable, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members. First, before I go in, I would like to congratulate the President of the Republic of Namibia, the Cabinet, especially the Ministry of Health and Social Services, and also Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, for updating and informing the nation about COVID-19, and for the President to have acted swiftly to curb the spread of coronavirus in Namibia and to contain it within the areas it is now. I also want to express my solidarity with the people of the USA while they are mourning the death of George Floyd, who was tragically murdered by the police in the USA. Now, having said that, let me go to my contribution on this amendment bill, Bill 3 of 2020, Communication Amendment Bill. The purpose of the amendment of this bill, or the Act 8 of 2009, is to circumscribe the power to impose a regulatory levy to cover the regulatory cost of CRAN, to provide requirements and guidelines for determination and imposition of the regulatory levy, to regulate the imposition of the universal service levy, and to regulate the duty of telecommunication service providers to provide a confidential service, and also to provide for incidental matters. Maybe let me start with the purpose, the main purpose of the Act, Communications Act 8 of 2009. Apart from establishing CRAN, the Communication Regulation Authority, it also gives CRAN the mandate to protect the consumers of telecommunication services. That is voice communication and data, and also radio and TV services. I will limit myself more on the telephone and data communications. At the moment, there is no provision in the Act, as far as I know, to provide for registration of or prepaid telephone services, which means everybody from anywhere can go in a shop and buy a starter pack for the voice service or for the telephone, MTC or TN Mobile or other operators, and start to use it. Of recent, I have witnessed a lot of abuses regarding cell phone usage. The first one I want to mention here is the banking services. The banks have now evolved, and the payments can be made through a cell phone. All major commercial banks have that, are offering that service, be it Easy Wallet, Blue Wallet, e-wallet, and so on. When you send somebody money to their phone, what these people do, the scammers and the fraudsters, if they get hold of your handset, they will forward the message to another number, and then they make a withdrawal. And when you want now to trace to which number is this money transferred or this message transferred, there is no register as to who is the user of this number. Many countries, all the countries that I know of, when you buy a starter pack, you get registered. You must provide an ID, and then that number is registered against your name. And you can be traced. In case you abuse or you use or you steal money from a recipient, and then you transfer those funds to your own number. Then there is this abuse of communication services in social media and also in voice and SMSs and so on. But still, if a criminal wants to do that, they buy a SIM from a street vendor. They write the text and they destroy the SIM. The SIM, the starter pack is $7, so it's very cheap. You use it and then you discard it. Some of the syndicates and the gangs, they are now using cell phones in poaching, in all other organized crimes. But then these prepaid services they are using, they are not registered. With this, I want to urge the Ministry of ICT together with CRAN to look at amending this act again to provide for just what I said earlier. Because people are losing out. Recently, we had the emergency income grant. The ministry has used the cell phone numbers to say, you indicate where you want your money to be paid, in which cell phone number you want your money to be paid. They pay the money to several phone numbers, and there are also fraud going on there. Some people who collect IDs, they have used these ID numbers to claim on behalf of the rightful people. They are paid. We know which number has received the money, but we don't know the owner or the person who has benefited, because the cell phone number is not registered to that person's name. So some of this emergency income grant has gone missing just because of that practice that is missing. I want to say the cell phone numbers are unique, are just like ID numbers. There are not two cell phone numbers that belong one cell phone number that belong to different people. They are unique, and they can actually easily be used for identification, especially now during this time of pandemic, whereby services must go a bit faster. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, I want to go to the tariffs. The telephone and also broadband or internet tariffs. Namibia is sitting where the broadband, the internet cable is docking. It docks in Walvis Bay, and I expected the tariffs, the broadband tariff in Namibia, to be lower than that of Botswana and other neighboring countries who are landlocked and who are far from the docking station. But our broadband tariffs here are still very high. Very, very high, and the price is just, you don't know. Sometimes, I want to take an example of MTC. If you have a business package, there are those nice pricing for business people. For $199, you can buy 12 gigabytes. But if you want to buy a bundle per megabyte, for 12 gigabytes, maybe you will spend 12,000. But others are getting it for 200 or 199. There's just uncontrollable kind of pricing in the communication industry, whereby you can get free data up to what gigabytes, but still if you just want 1 gigabyte, you will pay maybe 300 or 400, and etc. So the price of broadband here is not controlled in this country, and it's generally just too high. higher than any other country that I know of. Now we need, during this pandemic, the students or the learners were advised to go for e-learning, whereby you need a connection to internet and to have a handset. But the data is just not affordable. A general person in a village cannot afford just to download even one lesson plan. So it is too high. It's now good that the law has been amended to provide for CRAN to collect some levies. And these levies, I hope it will be used for the provision of, especially not only the levies for running and the operations of CRAN, but what is very, very important here is the provision of universal service. Maybe let me take you through what is meant by this universal service. The universal service is provided for in section 56 of the main act, whereby the universal service fund is established. It is highly technical, members. Let me just take you through. The authority,
Honorable member, you have the floor.
by regulation,
Your
has to establish a universal service fund. This fund may be used to fund the operations of CRAN, but can also be used, it may also be used to pay subsidies to licensees. The licensees are the service providers, to subsidize the provision of service or the provision of infrastructure for the purpose of providing universal service. That means once this fund is now operational, CRAN can subsidize the setting up of towers and also to subsidize the tariffs on broadband, especially in the rural areas. It goes further to say that the universal service may be specified in one or more of the following: a minimum number of prescribed telecommunication facilities or services that must be made available to a community of a prescribed size. You have so many people, this is the minimum service that this community must receive, the telecommunication service. The form of specified equipment that would be made available in order to cater for the telecommunications needs of a specified category or of a community. So everything is there, but it's not operational. It's there. I'm still with the universal service. I'm still fine with the time, eh? Okay. The chief executive officer of CREN is required by this act, by the Act number 8 of 2009, to report to provide the report. I've never seen such a report. Probably it's not yet in operation. To provide a report to which, okay, let me just read it because I'm hearing many questions here. The chief executive officer must, in respect of each calendar year, after the commencement of this act, that is Act 8 of 2009, not the amendment bill, prepare a universal service report in which must be indicated in respect of year concerned to which portions of the territory of Namibia and to which communities in Namibia universal service is not being provided. In this case, to the whole country. How much money stands to the credit of the Universal Service Fund, and how much money is expected to be paid into the Universal Service Fund? How much the authority intends to spend, how the authority intends to spend the money available in the Universal Service Fund. What steps the authority intends to take in order to promote the availability of universal service? What steps have been taken in the previous year in order to promote universal service? And any other matter the authority regards as relevant to the provision of universal service. The universal service being referred to here is telecommunication service. That is broadband, voice and data communications. The universal, let me end it there, that one. So, the CRAN is supposed to levy a subsidy in order to subsidize those rural communities. Everything is in there, including whether the schools and also some other government institutions must get the telecommunication service so that we can realize all what we always talking about, that is e-learning, e-governance, anything that starts with e-banking, etc. We are not yet there because the law is lying somewhere there. It's not in operation. No, we have a lot of time. We have a whole day. Yeah. Honorable Speaker, honorable members. That speaker, no. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members. Now, this amendment will enable CREN, Communication Regulation Authority, your regulatory authority, whatever, to be able to get the necessary funding in order to realize all that I was alluding to earlier. All of it. All of it meaning registering the users of telecommunication service. We want to know who owns which number. At the moment, we have people, the Ministry of Finance has lessened the burden of paying tax to telecommunication services. But if you buy a prepaid service, you will pay tax because apparently the taxman does not know whether you are business or private because you are not registered. That's why every time you buy airtime, you also pay tax. But if you have a postpaid service, you don't pay tax because they know this number belongs to this person. It's not a business, it's a private, it's not a business. That's why that is why the postpaid service people, they do not pay tax. They are known. The prepaid, the majority of service of clients of telecommunication are using prepaid and they are paying tax. If they were registered, we will know this is not a business as an individual and they will not pay tax. That is the other benefit. Am I protected?
You are protected, honorable member, and I hope that is making his conclusion.
Yeah, I think we need to talk more about this. These are basic services. They are supposed to be basic services, and we are having other priorities maybe, but we, as a house, we must speak with one voice to say this universal service must be rolled out, necessary funds must be collected, and it should be rolled out to all the corners, especially remote areas, so that in future, if we happen to have any other uncontrolled pandemic or epidemic, all the learners will be able to access e-learning. The infrastructure must be rolled out, and then CRAN this time, together with the ministry, must take all the necessary steps to draft and implement the regulations so that these amendments will be implemented as a matter of priority. With those few words, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, I so submit and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ndakunda.